In a world that never stops moving, finding a moment of true stillness is a rare gift. We often carry the weight of our days in our shoulders, our thoughts racing to keep up with a pace that wasn't meant for us. Today, we're embarking on a journey across borders and into the quietest corners of the earth, places where the only clock is the rising sun and the falling rain. From the crystal sanctuaries of Croatia, where the water hums a lullaby of clarity, to the sacred, mist-covered valleys of China, where ancient peaks stand guard over your peace. We will wander through the island waters of Slovenia, find strength in the mountain presence of Japan, and wash away the noise in the healing springs of Canada. These are the places where time doesn't just pass, it slows down. It breathes. So, find a comfortable space. Release the tension in your jaw. Let your hands rest heavy. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the world fade away. You are exactly where you need to be. The air in the high valley is not like other air. It carries the scent of ancient glacier melt and the sweet decay of 1,000 autumns, of pine resin and cold stone. To breathe it is to drink clarity. Long before the world knew it as Our story begins not on the earth, but above it, in the seamless blue vault the ancients called the Palace of Perfect Calm. Here, the celestial queen, a being of such serene luminosity that to gaze upon her was to forget all sorrow, kept a hall of mirrors. These were not ordinary mirrors. They were pools of captured sky, discs of solidified peace, whose sole purpose was to reflect the unblemished tranquility of the heavens back upon themselves, maintaining the eternal stillness of the realm. The queen would walk among them, her form multiplied into infinity, a silent symphony of perfect contentment. But below, in the world of men and mountains, there was no such peace. The human heart, then as now, was a turbulent thing, a cauldron of worry, ambition, fear, and restless longing. This psychic clamor, this ceaseless mental storm, began to rise. It seeped through the clouds, a faint but persistent dissonance, a grating static against the celestial silence. At first, it was merely a nuisance, a distant murmur. But as generations of men waged wars, nursed grievances, and lay awake with unnamed anxieties, the murmur became a roar. It clawed at the foundations of the palace of perfect calm. She went to her hall of mirrors, seeking solace in their flawless reflections. But as she looked, something terrible happened. The mirrors, designed to reflect only heavenly peace, began to capture the echoes of the earthly tumult. Instead of her serene visage, she saw flickering shadows of strife. The perfect surfaces rippled, clouded, and strained under the burden they were never meant to bear. The queen's sorrow deepened, for she loved the world below even as its pain assaulted her home. Her grief, pure and profound, became the final weight. With a sound like a mountain sighing, the mirrors could hold no more. They did not simply crack. They shattered with a soft, crystalline rain, disintegrating into countless fragments, some large as chariot wheels, others fine as spun glass. They fell, not as destructive hail, but as a gentle, weeping descent, tumbling through the thin air of the high Tibetan plateau. They fell upon a particular fold of the Min Mountains, a jagged, remote valley carved by glaciers and guarded by forbidding peaks. And as each fragment struck the earth, it did not gouge or burn. It softened. It melted into the bedrock, into the course of icy streams, and transformed. Where a large piece landed, it became a basin that filled with the purest meltwater, forming lakes of impossible hues, turquoise that stole its color from the sky, jade green that whispered of deep forests, sapphire blue that held the memory of the celestial vault. Smaller fragments became waterfalls, cascading over stepped, travertine terraces like liquid lace, their mist catching the light to weave permanent rainbows. The finest dust settled on the leaves of birch and maple, giving them a luminous quality, as if they held an inner light, and it seeped into the limestone, creating the porous, layered formations that would filter the water to a diamond clarity. This is the legend, the sacred truth held by the Tibetan and Chiang people who have called these valleys home for centuries. The geography of Zhangjiajie, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Sichuan Province, China, is a scientific marvel of travertine dams, algae-colored lakes, and multi-level waterfalls, but to the local spirit, it is a divine scar, a healing wound. The valley's very structure, with its clustered lakes, Long Lake, Five-Color Pond, Panda Lake, Mirror Lake, aligned along the branching gullies, mirrors the pattern of a great shattering, a radial burst of celestial glass frozen in stone and water. Into this reborn landscape came the first people. They were herders and hunters, followers of the ancient Bon traditions, and later Tibetan Buddhism, who found their way into the secluded valleys. They saw the waters that were too beautiful to be of this earth, heard the way sound vanished into the dense forests of spruce and fir, and felt the peculiar hushed stillness that settled over the lakes. They understood what had happened. And so they developed the traditions to tend to it, to honor the sacrifice of the shattered mirrors, and to learn from their purpose. The first and most solemn is the seer mirror. Mending Whisper Ceremony. It is performed not by monks in grand temples, but by village elders, often women whose voices have been weathered by altitude and time into soft, gravelly instruments. Before the first light of dawn bleaches the stars from the sky, they will make their way to the shore of a particular lake, often Nuodilang or Mirror Lake itself. They carry no instruments, no offerings of fruit or grain. Their only offering is story. Sitting on a smoothed stone, their breath puffing white in the bitter air, they face the water, which in the pre-dawn is a sheet of obsidian, perfectly still. As the first sliver of light touches the highest peak, they begin. They recite the legend, not as a booming chant, but in a whisper, a confidential murmur meant for the water alone. The words are carried on the slight breeze, skimming the surface. The queen's tears fell with the glass, and where they mingled, the water gained the power to listen. The act of whispering the story over the still water is believed to act. It is a ritual of remembrance, a vocal stitching of the present to the mythic past. As the sun rises, painting the cliffs in rose and gold, the lake awakens, and in its now azure surface, the perfect reflection of the sky and mountains appears. A momentary mending, witnessed only by the elder and the valley. For the individual soul, burdened by the very modern anxieties that once plagued the heavens, there is the steep pilgrimage of the restless mind. This is a solitary practice. From the old wooden guest house in Hai Village or Jaru Village, the pilgrim selects a smooth, palm-sized stone from the riverbed, their worry stone. They then embark on a silent walk along the wooden boardwalks that skirt the lake shores, a modern convenience that follows ancient intuitive paths. The walk is a slow, sensory immersion. The crunch of gravel underfoot gives way to the hollow drum of plank wood. The air is filled with the roar of distant waterfalls, pearl shoals, The scent shifts from damp earth to the sharp, clean smell of falling water, then to the sweet, honeyed aroma of blooming rhododendron in spring. The pilgrim is meant to absorb it all, to let the overwhelming beauty and serenity of the place hold their turmoil. The goal is not to forget the worry, but to see it reflected in the vast, tranquil scale of the valley. At designated points along the shore, unadorned, flat rocks often marked by a small, faded prayer flag tied to a nearby bush are the reflection altars. These are not for burning incense, but for laying down weight. The pilgrim stops, turns the worry stone over in their hand, imbuing it with one last conscious thought of their burden. Then they bend and place it gently upon the altar among a scattered collection of other older stones. The act is a physical relinquishment. The stone, a piece of the very earth cradled by the celestial waters, is entrusted to the valley's keeping. The lore says the still waters slowly dissolve the worry from the stone, cleansing it night by night until it becomes just another anonymous part of the landscape. The pilgrim turns away, and the silence they keep is no longer heavy with their own thoughts, but filled with the valley's quiet language of water and wind. I once walked such a pilgrimage. My burden was a common one, a directionless dread about the future, a feeling of being untethered. The walk to Five Color Pond felt endless. I was blind to the famous beauty, seeing only the mud of the path. But then I reached the viewing platform. 5. Color Pond is not large, but it is profound. Its waters are a mesmerizing mosaic of turquoise, amber, sapphire, and emerald, caused by ancient submerged logs, mineralized with travertine and the play of light on varying depths. It is a literal piece of shattered colored mirror. As I stared, my mind, so loud with its own noise, grew quiet. The dread didn't vanish, but it shrank. It became just one small stone in a breathtaking, complex mosaic. When I laid my stone on a nearby ledge, I felt not a magical release, but a simple human decision to leave that particular weight here, in this place that knew all about breaking and reforming into something beautiful. The most communal of the valley's traditions is This celebrates not the shattering, but the mirror's ultimate sacrifice. Their transformation from instruments of isolated heavenly reflection into vessels of earthly healing. As dusk falls and the moon rises, turning the lakes into sheets of quicksilver, families gather at the water's edge. For days beforehand, children have been crafting lanterns from polished birch bark, peeled in delicate curls and stitched with willow twigs. A small beeswax candle is placed inside. There is no raucous music, no feasting. The atmosphere is one of tender reverence. A village elder tells the story of the celestial queen once more, her voice carrying over the still crowd. Then, one by one, families approach the water. They light their candle and gently set the birch bark lantern afloat. Hundreds of them are released, dotting the dark waters like a field of drifting stars, their warm, flickering light dancing on the tranquil surface. Each lantern represents a gratitude, a hope, or a memory of a lost one. But collectively, they are an offering of light back to the shattered mirrors. You gave us your pieces, the ritual says. We give you our light in return. The lanterns drift, their reflections doubling them in the water, creating the illusion that they are floating both on the surface and in the star-dusted depths, a fleeting reunion of the celestial and the terrestrial. By dawn, they have burned out or drifted to shore, where they are collected, the birch bark returning to the earth. Woven through these practices is the simpler, daily, karma-cleansing ritual. For visitors and locals alike, It is considered essential upon first entering the valley's sacred space. One simply finds a quiet inlet of a stream, away from the main paths, kneels on the soft moss, and cups their hands in the icy, clear water. They bring it to their face, not to drink, but to wash the brow, the eyes, the mouth. The water is punishingly cold, a shock that scatters mundane thought. The ritual is a symbolic washing away of the dust of the road, the grime of worldly cares, and the subtle accumulations of negative karma from thoughtless words or actions. It is a preparation of the vessel. The water, having filtered through the valley's travertine bones for decades, is believed to carry the mirror dust within it, physically scrubbing the soul's lens to see more clearly. The history of Zhangjiajie is a slow dance between this sacred isolation and the modern world's relentless curiosity. For centuries, it was known only to the 9 Tibetan villages that gave it its modern name, a remote paradise of subsistence farming and spiritual practice. It was discovered by Chinese forestry officials in the 1970s, and its transformation into a protected national park and major tourist destination was swift. The boardwalks were built to protect the fragile travertine from millions of footsteps. Electric shuttle buses now hum along the valleys, replacing days of arduous hiking. Some lament this, seeing the crowds as a new form of the restless mental clamor that shattered the mirrors in the first place. But there is another way to see it. The pilgrims now come not just from Haiye village, but from Shanghai, Berlin, Tokyo. They may arrive on buses, clutching smartphones, but many still subconsciously perform the ancient rites. You see them pausing on a boardwalk, their chatter dying as they gaze into the hypnotic depths of Five-Color Pond, their expressions shifting from curiosity to awe to a kind of inward quiet. You see them pocket a smooth stone, later laying it thoughtfully on a rock by Mirror Lake. They participate in a secularized festival of tranquil surfaces during night tours. Their camera flashes like artificial lightning, yet when they see the moon on the water, they too fall silent. The valley, in its ancient wisdom, seems to absorb it all. The waterfalls continue their roar, sound so constant it becomes a form of silence. The mirrors, though shattered, are still at work. They no longer reflect a perfect, static heaven back upon itself. Instead, they hold the sky, the mountains, the flaming autumn leaves, and the face of every awestruck visitor who looks into them. They reflect the world back to itself, not in judgment, but in breathtaking, tranquil clarity. The restless mind looks in and sees, for a moment, not its own turmoil, but its place in a pattern of sublime, broken beauty. The climax of the valley's story is not a single event, but a perpetual, daily occurrence, the moment of perfect reflection at dawn. Before the wind stirs, the lakes become flawless mirrors. In that instant, the distinction between above and below vanishes. The real mountain and its inverted twin in the water are equally solid, equally true. This is the mending. It is fleeting, fragile, broken by the first leap of a fish or the sigh of the morning breeze. But it happens every day without fail. The Celestial Queen's Hall is not gone. It is here, scattered across the valley floor, momentarily reassembling itself in the perfect liquid calm. So, if you go quietly. Take the shuttle to the highest lake, Long Lake, said to be the largest fragment of the central mirror. Walk the boardwalk along its silent, snow-fed expanse. Let the altitude lighten your head. Find a stream and perform the simple karma-cleansing ritual. The cold, a slap of pure presence. Select a worry stone and walk the pilgrimage. Listen for the whisper of an elder at dawn, if you are lucky enough to hear it. The stars above Zhangjiajie are piercingly bright, freed from the haze of cities. See them, and then look down at the dark lakes. On a still night, they will be filled with those same stars, as if the shattered mirrors have caught them too, holding a piece of the cosmos in their placid, forgiving depths. The lesson of Zhangjiajie is not that peace is an unbroken, pristine state. That mirror is shattered, and we are the cause. The lesson is in what happens after the shattering. The fragments, tended to with story and silence, with ritual and respect, become something new. Not a single reflection of perfection, but 10,000 reflections of a healing, imperfect, and stunningly beautiful world. The valley offers no promise that your worries will dissolve like mist. It only offers you a surface tranquil and deep, and asks you gently to look. To see your own reflection not as a flaw in the glass, but as a part of the landscape held in water that remembers, even in its brokenness, how to give peace back to the restless mind. The mist does not rise from the lakes here, but settles into them, a breath held between the karst and the sky. To walk the wooden pathways of Plitvice is to walk upon the skin of a dream dreamed by water over 10,000 years. The sound is the first thing that claims you, not a roar, but a chorus, a layered, liquid hymn of countless cascades speaking in tongues of foam and flow. It is the sound of creation refusing to be still. And if you listen, beneath the splash and gush, the old ones say you can hear the sigh of the Rain Queen, her endless libation pouring from the heavens to quiet the fears of the world. They say the land was once a place of silent stone and parched throats. The people of the Lika Plateau, shepherds with faces carved by the Abura wind, prayed to a sky of brass. It was then that a queen came, not from any earthly kingdom, but from the place where clouds are born. They called her Zhangjiajie, the Rain Queen. She saw not just the thirst of the land, but the deeper drought within the people, a fear of endings, a tremor in the soul. In her mercy, she did not simply send a storm. She knelt upon the barren rock and wept. Her tears, warm and endless, did not sink into the hungry earth and vanish. Instead, they pooled. They traced the contours of the stone, seeking each other, finding each other, marrying and multiplying. Where one tear fell, a second joined it, and a third, until they became a trickle, then a stream, then a waterfall that sang as it fell. She wept until her sorrow for their fear became the very architecture of solace, a labyrinth of liquid light and sound. It is in the water itself, in the way the travertine barriers grow. A living, breathing geology of surrender. The water, heavy with dissolved limestone, meets air and moss and surrenders its mineral burden, grain by microscopic grain. Over centuries, these surrendered grains build the very walls over which the water then tumbles, creating new pools, new cascades. The water builds its own sanctuary, its own stairs to heaven through the act of letting go. This is the truth the locals have always known. And so at dawn, when the mist is a gray gold veil and the first birdsong is a needle threading the silence, you might see an old woman or a young child carrying a simple wooden cup to the water's edge at Projanansko Jezero, the lake that entreats. This is the Rain Queen's libation. They will whisper names of the departed, of the anxious, of their own secret dreads into the surface. Not onto the ground, but into the lake, right at the source. It is a returning. An acknowledgement that the gift is cyclical, that what is given must be honored by its return. The historian in me notes the pagan roots of such spring worship, the Christian overlay of blessing, but the storyteller feels the deeper pulse. It is a covenant with continuity, a personal ritual to anchor the day in gratitude rather than want. To truly understand the Queen's gift, you must undertake the silent step pilgrimage. It is not marked on the park maps, but every local knows its path. It begins in the hush of the lower lakes, in the canyon where the water runs deep and emerald, shadowed by beech and fir. Here, you do not speak. You do not even try to think in words. You become a vessel for sound. The soundscape unfolds like a complex tapestry. There is the low, constant shush of veliki slap. Closer, the distinct, percussive plink, plink, plink of water dripping from moss-laden ledges into a perfectly still, jade-green pool. The sound of a mineral clock marking millennia. A chorus of smaller falls chatters like gossiping sprites. The wind combs through the pines, a bass note to the water's treble. You are to absorb this not as noise, but as a mantra. The old belief holds that the specific frequency of Plitvice's water, filtered through limestone and woven with forest air, can steady a racing heart. It is a sonic balm. The fear that rides your shoulders, the tight coil of tomorrow's worry, begins to loosen its grip, washed smooth by the ceaseless, patient song. You are not listening to the water, you are letting it listen to you, and in the listening, it rearranges your inner chaos into something resembling its own flowing order. This inner calm is not meant to be hoarded. It is meant to be woven into something tangible, a shield against the world's abrasions. In the villages tucked around the park, a quiet craft persists, known as Tikanje Vodanog Raza. Weaving the water's loom. The women, and sometimes the men, with knotted fingers and calm eyes, collect the fine, strong threads of a particular water algae that thrives in the mineral-rich pools. They are green, bronze, and sometimes a surprising rusty red, dyed not by human hands, but by the very chemistry of the queen's tears. These threads, spun together with sheep's wool, the color of cloud shadow, are woven on small, hand-held looms. The patterns are not geometric, but flowing, imitative of water, zigzags for lightning, spirals for whirlpools, undulating lines for waves. To wear a bracelet or a small pouch woven from this is to carry a piece of the sanctuary's essence. It is a talisman. They say it protects travelers, calms restless children, and guards against sudden, drowning sorrow. It is a craft born of practicality, using what the environment provides, and elevated by spirituality into a form of portable prayer. Each knot tied is a worry acknowledged and contained. Each finished pattern is a map of peaceful currents. but some worries are too heavy to be woven into a pattern. Some stones are best left in the heart of the waterfall itself. This leads to the most intimate of the traditions. You will find the places for it if your heart seeks them. A quiet bend upstream from the mighty Zhangjiajie Falls, or a hidden grotto behind the veil of Milanjevo Slap. The ritual is simple, profoundly so. Then you lean close, your lips almost touching the damp stone, and you whisper to it. You tell it your fear. You pour the words into the stone until it feels heavy, not with weight, but with the charge of your confession. Then you walk to the very edge, where the water gathers its breath before the plunge. You do not throw it. You open your hand, and you let the stone be taken. You release it into the current. The sound of the falls, which moments before was just sound, now feels like an act of annihilation, of perfect, merciful erasure. The water, in its relentless pounding journey, grinds stones to sand. It will do the same to your spoken fear, wearing it down, dissolving its sharp edges, carrying it away to be buried in layers of soft, new travertine. You leave a part of yourself in the sanctuary, and in return, you leave lighter. The geography of Plitvice is the physical testament to this cycle of release and rebirth. The 16 lakes, strung like turquoise and emerald beads on a silver string, are divided into the upper and lower clusters. The upper lakes, like Projansko and Sijnovac, lie on dolomite valleys, their waters spilling over vast, porous travertine barriers in sheets of lace-like foam. The lower lakes, such as Milanovac and Gavinovac, are carved into a steep limestone canyon where the waterfalls are taller, more dramatic, sheer plunges into depths that look ink black until the sun pierces them to reveal a miraculous aquamarine. This division is not arbitrary. The water travels from the open, sun-drenched meadows of the upper realms down into the shadowed, profound depths of the canyon. A journey from the conscious to the subconscious, from the open sky of thought to the hidden gorge of feeling. The wooden walkways and bridges, engineering marvels that seem to float on the water itself, guide you through this journey. They force you to move at the water's pace, to see from its perspective. As day softens into twilight, the final communal ritual begins, the I Vigilije Miesidovi Valova. On calm nights, especially when the moon is full or near it, people gather quietly on the northern shore of Lake Kozjak, the largest and deepest of the lakes. No fires are lit. No songs are sung. The bats etch secret scripts in the air above. This is the Queen's road, they say, the path her tears first took. But the vigil is not for watching, it is for listening and feeling. On these nights, a strange and peaceful alchemy occurs. The ceaseless daytime chorus of the falls seems to recede, not into silence, but into a deep, resonant background hum, the lake's own heartbeat. In its place, the individual, tiny sounds of the night rise, the lap of a miniature wave against a rotten log, the klupa of a fish taking a surface insect, the almost inaudible sigh of water seeping through a travertine dam. And as people sit, their own internal noise. they become like the lake, a still surface reflecting a greater light. In this shared, wordless communion, a profound solidarity is felt. Every person there is carrying some stone, some drought. Under the moon's cool gaze, on the shore of the ancient water, they are all simply human, part of the same fragile, beautiful ecosystem of hope and healing. The vigil ends without ceremony. One by one, they rise, fold their blankets, and disappear back into the forest, carrying the lake's stillness within them like a secret cup of water. I remember a man I met once on the silent step path. He held a smooth, gray pebble so tightly his knuckles were white. We did not speak, but our eyes met at the edge of Milanievo's slap. He leaned over the roar, whispered something fierce and guttural into the stone, and let it go. I saw his shoulders, which had been hunched around his ears as if against a perpetual wind, drop a full inch. He took a breath so deep it seemed to start from his shoes. He did not look at me again, but as he walked back up the path, his steps were different. They were not the hesitant, calculated steps of the city walker, but the slower, more accepting steps of a man walking on soft earth. The water had taken his stone. It would take 1,000 years to grind it to sand, but the act of giving it over, of trusting it to a process greater than himself, had already begun the work. This is the true magic of Plitvice. It is not just a national park, a UNESCO site, a checklist of waterfalls and lake colors. It is a living dialogue between rock and water, between human longing and natural grace. The legends of the Rain Queen are not childish fantasies. They are the poetic truth of a landscape that actively consoles. The history is written in the travertine, each layer a year, a century, a millennium of steady, dripping persistence. The traditions are the human response to that gift. A cup returned at dawn, a silent walk, a woven thread, a stone surrendered, a night vigil under the moon. We live in an age of loud fears. They shout from screens, whisper in our pockets, tighten our chests in the dead of night. Plitvice offers a different sound. It offers the sound of letting go. It offers the sight of water, which is the softest of things, wearing down the hardest of stone through patience and perpetual motion. It offers the feeling that your small human fear is not a unique catastrophe, but just another stone in the river, another note in the endless forgiving hymn. You come with your drought, and you kneel at the water's edge. And if you listen, not with your ears, but with the part of you that remembers how to be still, you might just hear it, the soft, endless weeping of a merciful queen, and the mighty, gentle roar of a heart learning once more how to flow. Oh? Gar! The air in the lowlands of Edo was thick with the smell of damp earth and human sweat, a humid blanket that clung to the skin even as the last light of day bled from the sky. In a narrow alleyway behind a merchant's house in the Nihonbashi district, a small group of men and women knelt on woven mats, their faces turned toward a mound of earth that rose incongruously from the packed dirt of the yard. It was a Zhangjiajie, a miniature mountain painstakingly built from stones and soil carried, grain by grain, from the distant slopes of the true peak. At its summit, a simple stone Tauric gate stood, a silent portal. Before it, a single votive candle flickered, its tiny, unwavering flame the only defiance against the descending twilight. Their leader, an old papermaker named Kenji with hands like knotted rope, lifted a shallow lacquer bowl. "From the sea of clouds," he murmured, his voice a dry rustle, "to the abode of the immortal." This was the evening ritual of the S-Fujiko, a confraternity of devotees for whom Mount Fuji was not merely a site, but a scripture written in rock and snow, a silent teacher whose lessons were learned not through words, but through patient, arduous ascent. The mountain they venerated was 100 miles away, a 3-day journey on foot. Yet here, in the heart of the sprawling, chaotic city, they built their own Fuji. This practice, born in the Edo period, was an act of profound imagination and necessity. Not all could make the pilgrimage. So they brought the mountain to them. They built these Fujizuka, sometimes just a humble pile in a backyard, sometimes elaborate landscaped hills in temple grounds, with winding paths representing the 10 stations of the ascent. To walk around it, to pour water as an offering, to simply sit before it in contemplation, was to participate in the sacred geography. It was an act of faith that said distance was an illusion for the devoted heart. Kenji's mind, as he performed the rite, was not in the dusty yard. It was on a wind-swept ridge 40 years prior, the taste of cold iron and snow in the air. He had been a young man then, a Yamabushi, a mountain ascetic undergoing the brutal trials of the Shugendo order. His sendatsus, or guide, was a man of few words named Genshu, whose face was as weathered as the lava rock of Fuji's 5th station. The mountain does not speak, Genshu had told him on their first night at the Murayama Sengen Shrine, the oldest pilgrimage point. It listens. It listens to the complaints of your body. Your task is not to conquer the slope, but to become quiet enough to hear what it has heard in you. They stood under icy waterfalls in the dead of night. The takigyo practice meant to shatter the illusion of the separate self. They blew on the horogai's conch shell trumpets whose mournful, echoing blasts were said to navigate the realms between the living and the dead. They wore distinctive token caps and suzukeke robes, symbolizing their death and rebirth with every ascent. For them, Fuji was not a passive goddess, but a rigorous dojo. Its symmetry was a lesson in balance, its silence a lesson in patience, its sheer enduring presence a lesson in inner calm that could withstand any eruption of worldly suffering. Kenji's great trial had come not during the waterfall austerity, but on a still, pre-dawn morning near the summit. The group had been chanting, their breath pluming in the glacial air. Genshu had pointed to the east, where a faint, pearly luminescence began to bleed into the black. The first light does not illuminate the world, he said, his voice barely a whisper. It illuminates the eye that sees it. The mountain has been here in the dark, whole and complete. The sun only reveals what was always present. In that moment, Kenji felt a shift, a settling. The burning in his calves, the ache in his lungs, the nagging thought of the warm bed far below. All of it receded, not gone, but placed within a vast, silent container. He was not a man climbing a mountain. He was a consciousness, temporary and small, held in the immense, patient awareness of the mountain itself. It was a feeling of profound calm, a balance that came not from things being equal, but from everything being held. He never forgot it. But life, like the lowland rivers, carried him away. He left the ascetic path, married, took up his father's paper-making trade. Yet the mountain's lesson, he joined the local F-Fuji-ko, finding in their communal veneration a gentler, more accessible path to that same stillness. Now, as an old man, he was the sendatsuk for the urban devotees. After the water offering, he unrolled a kekimono-e, a hanging scroll votive painting, holding it up for the group to see. It depicted Fuji in stark sumi-e ink, its slopes rising behind the torii gate of the Yoshida Sengen shrine. Painted on it in careful script were the names of dozens of pilgrims, including Kenji's own from decades past. This, Kenji said, is not just a painting. It is a door. When you cannot walk the path with your feet, you walk it with your eyes. You place it in your tokonoma alcove, and every morning you make an offering of a single branch, a cup of clean water. You look into its slopes. You remember that the climb is not only upward, but inward. The kakemono-e was a central feature of a Fujikoi practice. These were not mere artworks. They were contracts of intent, records of devotion, and focal points for meditation. Some were elaborate, with gold leaf clouds and detailed processions of pilgrims. Others, like Kenji's, were stark and simple. To own one was to have a permanent conduit to the mountain's spirit in one's home. It made the sacred inescapably daily. As the group sat in silent meditation before the miniature mound, Kenji's thoughts drifted to the most fiery expression of their faith, the Yoshida Fire Festival, Fuji no Himatsurik. He had witnessed it only once, the year after his great realization on the summit. It was held at the end of the climbing season, on August 26th and 27th, to appease the mountain's spirit, seal the slopes for winter, and pray for safety. He remembered the Yoshida district at night, transformed. Dozens of giant Taimatsu torches, some 3 meters tall and bound with fresh straw, lined the approach to the Sengen shrine. As darkness fell, the thunder of drums began, a deep, primal pulse that shook the very air. Men dressed in white fundoshi loincloths and hachimaki headbands, the uniform of pure-hearted pilgrims, began to chant. Their voices were a low, rolling growl. Then, with a collective shout that tore through the night, they lit the torches. The world erupted in fire and shadow. Flames roared 20 feet into the sky, casting a dancing, demonic light on the sweating, straining faces of the men who carried them. The heat was a physical wall. The smell was of burning pine resin and scorched earth. They marched, they paraded, they spun the monstrous torches, sending cascades of sparks swirling up into the blackness like inverse snowfall, aiming them toward the invisible presence of Fuji. "It looks like madness," Genshu had shouted to him over the din, his eyes reflecting the inferno. But it is the opposite. It is the burning away of madness. All the year's fears, all the impurities gathered on the climb, all the worldly attachments, we offer them to the flame. We give the mountain our fire so that it may keep its peace. It was the mountain's lesson of inner calm, expressed not in silence, but in a roaring, purgative symphony. The calm after such a fire, Kenji remembered, was deeper than any ordinary quiet. It was the stillness of a field after a storm, fertile and clean. Back in the Edo alleyway, the candle on the Shifujizuka guttered. A young merchant's wife named Hana, who had been struggling with a sick child and a failing business, approached Kenji. Her eyes were red-rimmed but clear. "Kenji-san," she said softly, "when I look at the scroll you helped me hang, I feel a little less alone in my troubles." It just is. Yet that isness feels like a support. The mountain's greatest teaching, Hana-san, is that it endures. The storms scathe its sides. The fires sleep in its heart. Yet its essential form remains. You are the mountain. He spoke of history then, weaving fact into the fabric of faith. He told her how the mountain we call Fuji is a stratovolcano, the product of eons of eruption and repose. The Hui eruption of 1707, the last great outburst, had rained ash on Edo for weeks, choking the city. The very ground they stood on contained minuscule particles of that fury. They saw the eruption not as a punishment, but as a reminder. They built more. He told her of the Ainuk word, from which some scholars believe Fuji's may derive. He spoke of the Buddhist interpretation that saw the mountain as a mandala, its 8 peaks representing the petals of the lotus of the world, with the crater at its summit symbolizing the void from which all things emanate and to which all return. "So you see," he concluded, his voice fading into the night sounds of the city, "when you look at your scroll, you are not looking at a picture of a mountain. You are looking at a mirror of time, of culture, of the earth's own breath, and of your own soul's potential for stillness. The pilgrimage is the act of bringing your inner landscape into alignment with that perfect, silent symmetry." The group dispersed into the lantern-lit streets. Kenji remained, sitting alone before the Fujizuka. He was too old now to climb the real slopes. He would never again feel that thin, icy air at the summit, or witness the fire festival's fury. But as he gazed at the small, crafted hill, at the stone Toriaka gate silhouetted against the rising moon, he felt no loss. The mountain had taught him that the journey and the destination were the same. The climb was the lesson. The Fujizuka was not a substitute for Fuji. It was an extension of its spirit. The rituals of water, fire, and silent sitting were not empty gestures. They were conversations with a presence that transcended location. A cool breeze, a sea Fuji Oroshi, swept down the alleyway, carrying away the day's stagnant heat. Kenji closed his eyes. In his mind, he was not in Edo. He was on that ridge at dawn, the world hushed and waiting. He could feel the immense, patient weight of the volcano beneath him, a colossal anchor in the sea of time. He could hear Genshu's whisper on the wind, "The sun only reveals what was always present." The true Mount Fuji, he understood now, was not the physical mass of rock and snow to the west. It was the internal architecture of calm, balance, and endurance it inspired. It was the Fujizuka in a city yard, the scroll in a humble alcove, the silent meditation of a weary devotee, the remembered roar of a cleansing flame. It was the timeless, listening presence that held within its silent symmetry all storms, all journeys, all human hope and frailty, and asked only for patience, so that one might learn to hear its deep, abiding peace echoing within one's own soul. The candle on the mound flickered one last time and went out, its purpose fulfilled. But in the darkness, Kenji smiled. The light it had held was now inside him, steady and unassailable, a tiny, unwavering flame in the vastness of his own being. The mist, on the morning I first saw it, did not so much cling to the water as rise from within it. It was a breath held for centuries, a silver exhalation from the lake's deep, cold lungs. And there, cradled in that breath, was the island. Not an island of rugged cliffs or wind-bent pines, but a thing of impossible softness, a green velvet mound rising from a mirror so still it seemed the sky had spilled and frozen. This was Lake Bled, and the water around that island was not merely water. It was memory shaped by compassion, a liquid quiet so profound it felt less like a place and more like a state of being. They say the lake was not always here. Once, they whisper in the inns of the town of Bled, nestled under the castle-crowned cliff. This was a valley. A lush green valley where shepherds grazed their flocks, and a single pure spring bubbled from the earth. In the valley lived a widow, her hair the color of ash, her heart worn thin by loneliness. Her only joy was her daughter, a girl with eyes the color of the summer sky and a laugh that made the flowers turn their faces. The girl would dance in the meadows, her feet light on the grass, and the widow would watch from the door of their stone cottage, her sorrow momentarily forgotten. But the lord of the castle above was a man of stone himself, his heart as hard as the karst bedrock. He coveted the widow's meadows for his cattle. When she refused to leave, he had her dragged to the castle dungeon. She prayed to the old gods of the springs and the new god of the cross, her tears falling onto the dry earth. And the earth listened. Or perhaps it was the spring, that ancient vein of the world, that heard the salt of her grief. The spring began to weep with her. Water, clear and cold and endless, welled up from the heart of the valley. It did not rush or rage, it rose with a terrible, gentle patience. It filled the shepherd's tracks, then the meadows, then the door of the stone cottage. It rose until it lapped against the very walls of the castle on the rock, leaving the cruel lord stranded on his perch. The valley became a lake, a perfect placid bowl of blue. And where the widow's cottage had stood, the earth pushed back just a little, forming a small green island, a memory of the home that was lost, preserved forever in a compassionate embrace. That is the legend. The lake is a gift of the last ice age, a glacial trough scooped out by the immense patient weight of ice. When the ice retreated, it left behind a hollow that filled with meltwater and the endless rain of the Alps. The island is not a magical afterthought, but a testament to a stubborn piece of bedrock that the glaciers could not fully grind away. The castle on the north shore, first mentioned in 1011 as Si Castellum Veldesca, was a strategic stronghold for the Holy Roman Emperors, a place of realpolitik and power, not fairy tale justice. Yet, somehow, the two truths, the glacial fact and the folkloric heart, do not contradict. They merge in the water's stillness. The lake's creation, whether by divine tears or geological force, resulted in a sanctuary. And sanctuaries demand their rituals. I learned of the rituals from an old man mending nets on a weathered Plitvice boat, the wide, flat-bottomed craft unique to this lake. His hands were maps of brown leather and blue vein. It remembers every stone dropped, every wish whispered, every oar that has ever broken its skin. So we must be gentle with it. He told me of before the first tourist Plitvice pushes off from the shore, a single boat sets out from the small boathouse near the Grand Hotel. It is rowed not by a strapping young guide, but often by the eldest of the boatmen, or sometimes by The oars are wrapped in soft cloth where they enter the oarlocks. The rower does not pull against the water, he The ideal is to leave no ripple, no breaking of the perfect, dawn-pink mirror that lies between the shore and the island. It is a pilgrimage of respect, a way of saying to the sleeping water, tea. The rower simply sits there, in the center of the stillness, listening to the silence that is not silent at all, but full of the lake's deep, slow hum. Then, with the same infinite care, he returns. Those who have witnessed it say the path the boat takes seems to glow faintly on the water for minutes afterwards, a mirrored path only the lake can see. I asked the old boatman. He finally looked at me, his eyes the color of the lake under cloud, to remind the water of our gratitude, to remind ourselves that not everything needs to be conquered. Sometimes you just listen. "99 steps lead from the wooden jetty, past the wishing bell in its small stone canopy, up to the Church of the Assumption. The bell, they say, grants wishes to anyone who rings it, but the true bell, the island's soul, hangs in the slender belfry above the church. It has a single tongue, a single voice, and it is the sole province of the keeper of the still point. The role is hereditary, passed from parent to child, or sometimes to a chosen apprentice who demonstrates a certain quietness of spirit. The current keeper was a woman named Anna. I found her not in the church, but in a small shed beside it, where a bank of old, well-polished seismographs and hydrophones traced lazy lines on rolling paper. She was perhaps 50, with a serene, unlined face and hands that rested in her lap as if they were holding something invisible. "The bell does not just ring," she explained, her voice as calm as the water at noon. "It speaks. When it is rung by a pilgrim, by the groom carrying his bride up the steps, by the tourist making a wish, that is its human voice. But there is another. The wind rings it. A shift in the lake's pressure, a distant tremor in the Alps. My grandfather, and his father before him, learned to read these notes. They are the island's pulse, the lake's sigh. Science calls it microseismic activity. I call it the island dreaming. A clear, pure note means the water is calm, the balance is held. A note with a faint tremble, a warble, that is a grievance. And that is where the third tradition comes in. All around the lake shore, you will find piles of smooth, flat stones bleached white by water and sun. The tradition is simple, ancient, and profoundly private. You take a stone, you find a quiet place. With a piece of charcoal or a sharp bit of slate, you write upon it a single word, a grief, a regret, a bitterness, a fear. Betrayal, loneliness, rage, loss. Then you walk to the water's edge, kneel, and submerge the stone. The cold water, with its gentle, constant minerals, will slowly, over years, soften the edges of the word, blur the charcoal until the grievance is absorbed, dissolved, forgiven by the timeless patience of the lake. It is an act of trust. The bell's warble, Anna said, often comes after a season when few stones have been offered, when people hold their grief too tightly to their chests. The lake feels the weight of them, all those unspoken sorrows, walking its perimeter. But the most mystical of all the traditions is the one that binds the bell to the island itself, Bell. The bell in the tower is not the first. Legends say the original was cast in the 16th century, a gift from a penitent noble. But every century or so, a new bell must be made. A temporary furnace is built on the island's tiny shore. The metals are brought: copper, tin, the sacred fragments of the old bell. And as the crucible glows, as the molten metal swirls like a miniature sun, the master caster, always a descendant of the original founder, performs the crucial rite. From a small leather pouch, he takes a handful of dark, rich soil dug from the roots of the oldest linden tree on the island. He whispers an old Slovene blessing, a plea for harmony and clarity of voice. Then he casts the soil into the seething metal. There is no explosion of steam, no dramatic hiss. It ties the bell's voice irrevocably to this specific patch of earth, to the island born of a widow's home and a daughter's tears. When the cooled bell is raised into the tower and struck for the first time, its peal does not just travel over the water, it is scoove the water, It resonates with the very bedrock. It is why Anna can hear its subtlest whispers. Mornings watching the mist peel back to reveal the mirrored world. Afternoons listening to the distant, wishful clang of the pilgrim's bell from the island. Evenings tracing the castle's lights on the black water. I felt the compulsion, as all visitors do, to write on a stone. My word was I chose a pale oval stone from a pile near the public swimming area. With a burnt stick from a long dead campfire, I carefully scrawled the letters. The feeling was not of confession, but of relinquishment. I bent and pushed the stone beneath the surface, holding it down until my fingers found a soft patch of silt between two larger rocks. I let it go. A few silver bubbles rose. Drift. The air was thick and sweet with the scent of linden blossoms. A strange quiet had settled over Bled, a anticipatory hush. I was on the terrace of my guest house when Anna found me. The instruments show nothing. No earthquakes, no unusual weather. But the lake is... She looked out at the water, which was, to my eye, as perfectly calm as ever. They ring it for fun. It helped, but only a little. It is time to bind a new one to the island. You may watch if you are quiet. If you understand the need for quiet. As dusk deepened into a velvet blue, a small group gathered on the island. There were perhaps a dozen of us, Anna, 2 elderly men who were the last of the local bell-casting lineage, a young novice from the monastery, and a few townspeople with solemn faces. A small brick furnace had been constructed on the strip of land between the jetty and the steps. It glowed a sinister orange. The air smelled of charcoal and hot earth. The old master caster, his face a landscape of wrinkles in the firelight, prepared the crucible. Fragments of the old canopy bell were fed into the maw of the heat. We watched in silence. When the metal was ready, a liquid shimmering gold in the clay crucible, the master nodded. from a velvet pouch, she produced not the expected handful of island soil, but something else, a single, smooth, washed stone. On its surface, just visible in the firelight, was the blurred, water-softened ghost of a word. It was impossible to read, but the shape of the letters spoke of an old, deep sorrow. One that has finished its work. Its grievance has been washed away. Only the lake's compassion remains in it. He held it aloft for a moment, a pale moon against the darkening sky. He murmured the ancient blessing, his voice a dry rustle. Then, with a gesture of profound tenderness, he dropped the water-softened stone into the molten bronze. This time, there was a sound, a deep, musical pop, like a giant bubble bursting in reverse. A scent rose, not of burning, but of wet forests and clean rain. The metal seemed to shiver, then settle, its glow taking on a softer, more profound light. The bronze was poured into the waiting mold. A small, graceful shape that would soon be a bell. As it cooled, the group dispersed, melting back into the night with quiet nods. Only Anna and I remained, watching the embers of the furnace die down to a pulsating red. "The stone," I said finally. The bell's voice is born from both the soil and the sorrow. The metal now holds a pain that has been healed by time and water. Its ring will carry that memory of healing. Then, from the tower above us came a sound. Not the loud, cheerful clang of the wishing bell, but the other sound, the island's own voice. A single, pure, resonant note hung in the still air. It was clear as ice, deep as the lake's abyss. It held no warble, no tremor. It was a note of perfect, restored equilibrium. It rolled out over the water, touching the far shore, echoing off the face of the castle cliff before being absorbed back into the immense quiet. Anna smiled, a small private thing. As the boatman pushed off, his oar making the first gentle rupture in the perfect mirror, I looked back at the island. The new bell, still in its mold, was a secret held by the island. My stone, with its word "drifts," was already beginning its long, slow dissolution in the dark. We think of compassion as something active, a reaching out. But here, in this lake shaped by a legend of tears, compassion is a quality of stillness. It is the water that rises not to drown, but to preserve. It is the bell that holds both the soil and the softened stone. It is the silent rowing, the patient listening, the offering of a sharp grief to the gentle mineral forgiveness of time. It is a place you hear. You hear it in the space between the bell's notes, in the whisper of an oar barely touching the surface, in the silent sigh of a stone settling into soft silt. Its waters are shaped by an ancient, compassionate response to pain, and in their reflection they offer us a profound calm, not the calm of emptiness, but the calm of a balance held, where every sorrow given up and softened eventually becomes part of the enduring, beautiful, and deeply peaceful whole. The mountains remember the sea. Long before the first human footfall crunched on glacial till, before the great ribs of the Rockies were named, the land here lay submerged beneath an ancient ocean. Life flourished and died in those warm, shallow waters, settling into layers of limestone and shale, a liquid world made solid. Then the colossal plates of the earth ground together in a slow tectonic embrace, and the seafloor was lifted, folded, cracked, and thrust skyward in a cataclysm of creation. The mountains were born, and in their bones they held the memory of that primordial salt. They are not like other waters. They seep down through miles of cracked rock, following faults and fissures into the profound, hot darkness of the Earth's crust. There, under immense pressure, they are heated by the planet's own fiery heart. They stew in the stone, dissolving minerals, calcium, magnesium, sulfate, silica. Then, guided by the same fractures that birthed the peaks, they begin their long journey back to the light, rising through the rock like a slow thermal breath. By the time they emerge at the surface, in a sheltered fold of what is now called Sulphur Mountain, they are warm to the touch, rich with the taste of stone and time, carrying the mountain's deep, curative memory. This is the gift, the Banff Hot Springs. To the Siare Nakoda, the Stony Nakota people, and to other indigenous nations who have known this valley since time immemorial, these springs were never a secret. They were a sacred trust. They understood the waters as the lifeblood of the mountains, a direct conduit to the powerful spirits of the land. To bathe here was not mere recreation, it was a communion, a physical prayer for healing, for guidance, for restoration of balance. Warriors would come to soak weary muscles and cleanse wounds. Elders would come to soothe aching joints and seek visions in the cloak of steam that rose from the pools. The springs were a neutral ground, a place where tribes in conflict could meet, the softening waters helping to ease hardened hearts. This deep, reverential understanding formed the first layer of the spring's story, a layer of quiet ceremony and profound connection that would, in time, be echoed by others in different tongues. The whisper of the outside world arrived with the railroad. In the 1880s, as crews for the Canadian Pacific Railway blasted their way through the Bow Valley, 3 workers stumbled upon the springs, following the scent of sulfur on the wind, a scent like ancient wet matches. They were not the first to find them, but they were the first whose discovery would trigger a seismic shift. News traveled back to Ottawa, and in 1885, recognizing the spring's potential, the federal government set aside a small reserve around them. This tiny, 26 square kilometer parcel became the genesis of Banff National Park, the first of its kind in Canada, and one of the earliest in the world. The springs were the seed from which a global idea of preservation grew. Soon, a rudimentary bathhouse was built, little more than a wooden shack diverting the flow into a rough pool. It was humble, but it drew the curious, the infirm, the adventurous. They came on the newly laid railway, disembarking at the Banff station. Their bodies jostled and minds crowded from the journey and made their way up the steep, winding trail to the springs. What they found was magic. In a land of formidable icy beauty, here was a pocket of gentle warmth. To sink into that mineral-rich embrace, to feel the mountain's own heat penetrate cold, tired flesh while gazing up at the snow-dusted peaks of Mount Rundle and Cascade Mountain was a paradox that bordered on the miraculous. The Victorian world spoke of taking the waters. At spas in Europe here, one took the waters of the earth's very marrow in a cathedral of wilderness. It is to this place, to this long tradition of seeking and solace, that a woman named Elara comes on a brittle, star-scattered morning in late October. She carries a silence within her, a tight coil of city noise and personal worry that even the vast quiet of the valley has not yet unwound. She has come not as a tourist seeking novelty, but as a pilgrim following a faint inherited thread. Her great-grandmother, a stern prairie woman with hands knotted from labor, had spoken once of a journey west, of soaking in the mountain's bath, and finding relief from a bone-deep grief. Elara remembers the story only in fragments, like a dream. She carries a smooth, gray stone in her pocket, warmed by her palm. She is here for the whisper walk. The tradition is not advertised in any guidebook. It is passed on in low tones at the hostels, hinted at by longtime locals, felt in the pre-dawn quiet of the town. An hour before first light, those who know begin to gather at the trailhead below the modern Upper Hot Springs pool. There is no speaking. Nods are exchanged, breaths plume in the frigid air. Then they begin to walk. To Elara's left, the mountain falls away into a black void. To her right, the rock face looms. The only sounds are the scuff of boots on asphalt, the rhythmic hush of her own breath, and the distant, mournful sigh of wind in the high pines. The walk is a shedding. With each step, she feels a layer of her mental static fall away, left behind on the path. The cold air sharpens her senses. She smells frost, damp earth, and the faint, sulphurous promise of the waters above. The group, perhaps a dozen strong, reaches a smaller secondary overflow pool, a more natural stone basin where the hot water cascades down before being channeled to the main facility. Beside it, atop a lichen-crusted boulder, sits a cairn, a mound of stones of every shape and hue. This is the cairn of unburdening. One by one, each walker approaches. Elara watches as the person before her, an older man with a weary posture, places a small, flat pebble on the pile. He holds it for a moment, eyes closed, then lets it go. His shoulders seem to drop an inch. Now it is her turn. The stone from her pocket is slick in her fingers. She thinks of her worry, a specific, sharp anxiety about a path not taken, a relationship frayed. She presses the image into the stone, as her great-grandmother might have pressed her grief into the water. She places it carefully on the cairn, finding a nook where it fits. The act is simple, absurdly so, and yet as she withdraws her hand, she feels a palpable lightness, as if the stone had been a weight sewn into her coat lining. The ritual is not about magic, but about metaphor made manifest. The cairn Dawn begins to bleed into the sky, a wash of rose gold over the sawtooth horizon. The main pool opens, and the whisper walkers disperse into the changing rooms, the silence still holding. When Ilara steps out onto the deck, the world is painted in watercolor. Mist from the 40°C water rolls in great, billowing clouds across the surface, swallowing the bathers who are already neck-deep. The air is a shocking blend of biting cold on her ears and shoulders and the warm, damp caress of the steam. She slips into the water, and the heat is an immediate, total surrender. It is not a shock, but an engulfing. It pours into her, melting the residual tension in her neck, her lower back. Places she hadn't even acknowledged were clenched. Around her, the ritual continues. An older couple, their skin etched with years, submerge themselves completely, then rise and step to the pool's edge. They do not reach for their towels. Instead, they stand facing the rising sun, arms slightly away from their bodies as the steam wreathes them in a vaporous shroud. This is the cloak of steam. The mountain's breath, carrying the minerals and the heat from the deep earth, envelops them. In the traditional understanding, this was a moment of direct absorption, of drawing the spirit and strength of the land into one's own spirit. Ilara watches, mesmerized. The couple stands motionless, eyes closed, faces serene. The steam clings to their skin, beating, then seems to be drawn into them. After several long minutes, they finally wrap themselves in towels and move away, their movements fluid, quiet. She wades to the edge and hoists herself out. The morning air is a slap of cold, raising goose flesh instantly. But then the steam rises, thick and white, from the turbulent water. She turns her back to the pool, and the warm, wet cloud envelops her. It is like standing inside a living cloud. The cold vanishes, replaced by a penetrating, moist heat that seems to seep through her pores. She closes her eyes. In this blindness, the sounds amplify, the gentle lap of water, the low murmur of other voices, the cry of a raven echoing off the cliff face. She imagines the water's journey down through the layers of fossilized sea life into the hot dark and back up again, now carrying that ancient memory into her. For a moment, she is not a separate entity, but part of the mountain's exhalation. When she opens her eyes and returns to the water, she feels different, not just warmed, but integrated. Later, as the sun climbs and the pool begins to fill with the cheerful chatter of day visitors, Ilara finds a quieter corner. She hears a low, rhythmic murmur nearby. A woman with silver braids is sitting on the submerged steps, her hands skimming the surface of the water. Her voice is a soft chant, almost lost in the general noise. "Minherpa," she whispers to the water. She continues, a flowing litany of the names of the peaks, the rivers, the passes, the original names, the stony names, the settler names, the geological names. This is the telling of the waters. By naming the places, the namer reaffirms their bond to them, acknowledges that they are a guest in a story much older than themselves. Ilara, listening, finds herself silently mouthing the names she knows, offering them to the warm, mineral-rich embrace that holds her. It feels like an apology and a thank you all at once. The day unfolds in a slow, aqueous rhythm. Ilara soaks, cools on the deck, watching chipmunks scurry in the nearby pines, soaks again. She speaks to a few others. A man from Calgary comes every month to manage his arthritis, better than any pill. A young woman from Germany on a working holiday speaks of the springs as her anchor in a vast, unfamiliar land. A Parks Canada interpreter, taking a rare soak on her break, points to the vents at the pool's edge where the hot water bubbles in. That's the mountain, right there. The current pool, built in the 1930s in the grand rustic national park style of stone and timber, is just the latest vessel. She learns of the earlier, simpler pools, of the tuberculosis patients who were brought here in the early 1900s, desperate for the curative air and waters. She learns of the formidable guides and outfitters like Tom Wilson, one of the first to bring wealthy clients to the springs, blending indigenous knowledge with frontier grit. She thinks of the grand Banff Springs Hotel, built by the CPR as a castle in the wilderness, its wealthy patrons taking carriage rides up to the springs, a world away from the silent whisper walk. Every era has come to these waters with its own needs, its own rituals, and the springs have absorbed them all without judgment, just as they absorb the minerals from the stone. As afternoon wanes into evening, a different mood settles over the pool. This is the time for the airing of bones. It is a late autumn ritual, a preparation for the long, locked-in winter. The idea is to soak deeply, to let the heat and the sun's memory, even if the day is gray, penetrate to the very marrow, to store the sun in the skeleton. It is an act of foresight and faith, banking warmth against the coming cold. She submerges until her fingers prune and her body feels like it is made of the same warm liquid as the pool. She thinks of her great-grandmother on a similar October day a century past, doing this very thing, storing not just the sun's heat, but the heat of a resolution, a peace, to sustain her through the prairie winter and her private grief. The connection across time feels tangible, woven through the steam. When she finally, reluctantly, leaves the water for the last time, the world is bathed in the deep blue twilight of the mountains. The stars are emerging, hard and brilliant diamonds in the velvet sky. Wrapped in her towel, she looks back at the pool. The steam glows in the deck lights, a spectral shroud over the dark water. The mountains are immense, silent silhouettes against the starry expanse. She walks back down the trail, her body heavy, languid, her mind clear and quiet. The coil of tension is gone, not wrestled away, but gently dissolved as salt in warm water. It offers the quiet to hear one's own thoughts again, the warmth to thaw a frozen spirit, the timeless perspective of stone and deep earth to shrink human worries to their proper size. The hot springs of Banff are more than a geological wonder or a tourist attraction. They are a living archive, a continuous ceremony. In their steamy embrace, the ancient memory of the sea meets the immediate ache of a human body. The Whisper Walk. They are ways of listening, of saying thank you, of remembering that we are, for a brief and precious moment, held in the deep, warm breath of the world. Elara reaches her car, her bones feeling aired indeed, light and warm from within. She looks up one last time at the dark bulk of Sulphur Mountain, where a faint plume of steam is just visible against the stars, a beacon of warmth in the cold, enduring night. She carries that warmth with her now, a small, stored sun against whatever winter, literal or metaphorical, might come. The mountains remember the sea, and now, in some small way, they remember her too. And in the quiet of her own heart, she remembers them back. The gift has been given and received.